All right, what's up, fellow go-givers? Juwan Buford back here again with an esteemed guest, Miss Tina Williams. I can't say enough about her. I'll probably take up the next 30 minutes doing so. But the bottom line is she has made a tremendous impact in the business community, helping business owners with their business plans, helping them to understand capital, how to acquire it, how to deploy it, and has just made an incredible impact. Helped business owners, particularly in our ecosystem, to the tune of not tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. But I know personally, firsthand, she is at this point eclipsed over $1 million in terms of helping business owners acquire funding, and that's nothing to sneeze at. So I'm not going to tell her story. I know she can do a much better job than I can, but I need you to know that you are in the Zoom, you are online with not a guru. She's very smart, very intelligent, very sharp. Don't let the smile fool you. But she's actually a guru. She's been out here crushing it. So thank you, Tina, for taking time today. We don't do this enough. We
I I think we should do more of this. It's so fun to just hang out. It's like we're having like coffee, but over Zoom. I have my coffee too.
Man, I didn't want people to hear it in the microwave. You know that ding ding sound. I was like, oh, I just missed it. It's all good. I'll down a couple cups after this, but yeah, really excited to chat with you. And I wanted this to be a little bit more free flowing. You already know typically how I do is I have this format. I got this list of questions, kind of keep it cookie cutter. But I wanted this to be a little bit more conversational today. And one of the first questions I wanted to ask you is a question I've been getting a lot. I was just over by 6 Mile and Southfield, pound the pavement, talking to business owners in that area. I spent a lot of time by Grand River in the North Rosedale area. And the business owners that I've chatted with repeatedly have asked me, what do I believe business owners need? Where are business owners dropping the ball? What are the areas where the lack of preparation, understanding, knowledge, hopefully not effort. You shouldn't be an entrepreneur if you're not willing to give maximum effort, right?
Right.
But what are the areas that you feel like is really hurting the ecosystem for entrepreneurs here in Detroit Metro? And, even more specific, the African American community. I'm curious. I have my own thoughts, but I want to hear your feedback from your perspective.
Well, one of the things that I notice is when we talk about scaling up, when we
Yes.
go to buy products or services, we don't have a budget. So,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when you need marketing, you have to have a marketing budget. You
Mm-hmm.
have to have a dollar that you're going to spend. It's not about going to free resources at this point. You've been to all the free resources, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
you've already been to all the free resources and you have not scaled up yet, you need to pay for services.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm gonna go a little further and say pay find black owned companies that are competent, get referrals, get don't just spend your money. You have to get referrals, you have to talk to their clients, you have to see the proof that they have the evidence, that they have the expertise to receive your funds
Mm-hmm.
and do what it is that you need them to do. Because we actually have to, at this point, there's no one coming to rescue you. It is you, it is us, and it's us against the world, I would say. And we gotta do business with each other, but we have to do good business with each other, and we have to be willing to spend our dollars. So for me, I do coaching. I pay for coaching every year. I love Tony Robbins, but it's not cheap. Every single
Mm-hmm.
year I spend over at least $10,000-$15,000 on coaching, personal coaching for myself, self-development. I would say that's another thing. You have to be willing to spend money for self-development and growing. Investing in yourself so that you can scale your businesses. And we have to actually start thinking bigger too. It is no longer one service here, one service there. We have to think in economies of scale. How can we sell our products to massive amounts of people so that we can actually grow our wealth, grow it to the next level, grow it to where we're making millions of dollars in our business and not just scraping by with a couple of dollars at the end of the year. We can't do that. We have to be able to break it into the multi-million dollar, the billion-dollar business. There are businesses out there that are doing it. Why are there so many in our community that are struggling to get, you know, revenues? And that's what I find. We have to be willing to pay money for services. We have to be willing to get that self development, and we have to be willing to really do business with each other in a grand and mass scale. I don't know how we can get that together, but I mean, I would like to see more of us just buy all of our own products.
I love it. I love it. I heard a lot of urgency in what you just shared. And there's quite a few things that I could talk about in between the lines of what you just shared. But I'll tell you the thing that was most striking to me is typically people start going to, I need more money.
Hmm.
I need to get this money. I need to get this bag. I need to get this car. How can you help me with that? Um,
Yes.
I need to market so I can get more clients. How can you help me with that? Usually that's the first two things that come out of business owners' mouths, right? I
Yes.
need to acquire a building,
Yes.
whether it's buying or leasing a building. But you started with mindset predominantly,
Hmm.
right? Having a growth mindset, um, self development, and being willing to invest in your business,
Yes.
right? These are all mindset things. I think that's fascinating, right? Because once again, if you're out in the streets, that's not what most people are going to say.
No. They are going to say I need this loan to buy a building. But if you're buying the building, is that building going to create the revenues?
Mm-hmm,
We can't even start with we want more revenues until we actually know, have we sat down and said, I need this specific dollar amount per month to
mm-hmm,
go on my family trips, to buy my private jet, excuse me. I need this specific dollar amount to live the life that I want to live. We don't want to be hustling anymore.
mm-hmm,
We want to live and have a beautiful life. So, have you sat down and thought about what a beautiful life is to you? Is it sitting at a bakery all day baking and you don't have any help? That doesn't sound like a good dream. I mean, that might be what you're thinking is going to create your revenues or your wealth, but that's not what is going to create your wealth. Having a bakery with a lot of employing a lot of people and you're not there every day, that's what's creating your wealth, because now you're out getting more people to come in and you're stimulating the economy, because now it's just not you having that one job, it's
mm-hmm,
you employing a bunch of people, and then now everybody is going and creating wealth in our community. But you have to know what it is first. That's the first part. Then you got to start writing a business plan that actually goes to show you how you're going to create that beautiful life. Sometimes people come to us, we write business plans for a living, and they want to come to find, well, a lot of people don't even think about themselves in the business plan. I ask them, what are you going to pay yourself? Well, I didn't plan on paying myself for the first couple of years. No, number one, the lender is going to decline your loan if you don't have any income, because they don't want you to have a separate job. I mean, it's good if you have separate income, but they want you to work in that business and pay them back this loan that you just borrowed. So that's the first part. But you need to be knowing what it is. They come with, I just want to make enough profit to make enough profit, and that's just not what
mm-hmm,
the game is. You cannot make enough just to have, pay yourself and your employees, because then you're at zero. You have to make enough to live a beautiful life. And
Yeah.
so that's my focus for all of my businesses that I work with this year and
Yeah.
myself as well.
It's two things I'm thinking about. Whenever I hear a business owner share that perspective, sometimes it feels like to me people forget that entrepreneurship is competition.
Mm,
And that if you are not generating more than enough, how are you going to invest in your business? Because if
yeah.
you're not investing in your business, your competition is. Now, I really feel like I know I may ruffle some feathers or, unnerve some people, but I really feel like Detroit entrepreneurs in particular were able to kind of exist in the ecosystem for so long because it was just us, right? For a while, Detroit wasn't a destination place. So as a result, you look at your neighbor to your left, to your right, they're not earning 150, 200, 500. They're not investing in their business. They're not doing the things they should do in terms of putting infrastructure and business processes in. I'm good. And I think a lot of business owners fail to understand that the competition is here now. I
Mm,
have friends that left Detroit 20 years ago when we came out of college, and they're coming back.
mm,
And they're coming back with capital. They're coming back with knowledge. They're coming back with partners. Um, there are people who are non-Detroiters, where Detroit now is a destination place. They're buying up these properties for cheap. They're
mhm.
buying up businesses at a discount, and you just can't afford to do business as usual anymore in Detroit. You just can't, because
No,
now we're competing with the world for real now. Like people from all, I'm in this real estate game a little bit, and I'm looking at the people who are buying these properties. I mean, some of these people aren't even in the United States.
right.
Um, and the same thing's going on. So for me, that's listening to you, it just resonated because I think about that a lot. The other thing, though, that I really want to kind of get you to elaborate upon here is this ideal that people think just because they get the bag, because they get the money, that somehow that's going to solve all the problems. And it's like my mindset has been, and what I've tried to articulate to people is that you can get the bag. But once again, if you have the money, but you don't have the processes to
Mm,
scale,
mhm.
if you're not investing in your business in such a way where it begins to grow away from you, the money only lasts for so long. The goal is not the money. The goal is to build an asset.
Yes.
And I see so many business owners acquire funding from a lot of different places.
Mhm, mhm.
And then I end up meeting with them a year, 2, 3 years down the line, and they're worse off than
Yeah.
when they acquired the funding.
That's when I was a banker at the bank. Um, I saw that a lot. I would be able to, and that's one of the reasons I started QT Business Solutions
Mm-hmm.
because, you have good credit. If you have good credit and you have a good banker, you're gonna be able to get some business funding. You got a
Mm-hmm.
good business plan, you got a good banker, you have good credit, you're gonna be able to get business funding. The other, but 1 year later, they're like, wow, you spent the money, you didn't do um enough due diligence to say I need to spend it here to grow here. And so now that, or you do worse, you got the money and then you bought a car with it instead of,
Mm-hmm.
you know, investing in your business. I've seen that too. Where you fixed up your house. You don't fix up your house with a business loan, you fix up your house with a home equity loan, and you invest in your business with a business loan. So like you just got
Mm-hmm.
to, that's the title of the loan. So use it for what it's for. But now they coming back because now they're kind of seeing something in the business, and now they're asking, well, I just need a little bit more to do that marketing, but you didn't use that money when you had it for marketing. So now you're going bankrupt or, it's hard. So we have to start thinking about that up front. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
think about putting our money where it's going to create. If I'm going to borrow some money, let me only spend it if it's going to create me some cash coming back. I
Mm-hmm.
don't need a building. I can rent a building, right? 'Cause I have a lot of people say, I need to buy this building so I can make some money. The building does not make you any money.
Mm-hmm.
You can rent first and then buy after you get cash. Let's rent first, create cash. Building doesn't create the cash.
Mm-hmm.
Not if unless you're a fix or flipper, then that's not a business. A business makes revenue daily. You can
Mm-hmm.
have a fix or flip business, yes, but what we're talking about when you're getting business loans is it makes revenues daily.
Mm-hmm.
Daily revenues. That's what we're talking. If you can't get into your business and make $1 the first day, we need to find another business. Okay. Right now, while we don't have cash. Now, when you have
Mm-hmm.
cash, you can buy buildings and flip them. But that's after you have the cash, not before
Oh
you
my,
have the cash.
oh my goodness, man! You just shared two things. I don't even know which one to start with, but you really did. Because there's this popular belief that's going on right now. I hear people articulate again. You got to have 3 and 4, 5 different streams of revenues, and I'm like, well, it does no good if you have 5 businesses all doing 5 or 10 or 15,000 dollars. Let's focus on one that's putting you at least above 6 figures. Let's get good at one first before you start spreading yourself across. Man, it's a conversation we can wrap back around to. But you mentioned something else that really caught my attention. Um, Business credit,
Mm.
right? Because now more than ever, right? There's articles being written about it. I just wrote an article about it. There's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's YouTube, and I'm sitting back listening to some of these individuals. And I'm like, no, like they are sharing fantasies out here, right? These hood tales about how individuals start up a business and then in less than 2 months they have over $1 million worth of business credit available to them. I'm like, you know what? I wanted to have that conversation with you in particular, right? Number one, in condensed a manner as you can, right? What are the steps that individuals need to build a proper business credit profile? That's number one. And then number two, once you build a proper business credit profile, how do you really use it
Mm.
to scale and grow? Like if you could touch those two topics, I know it'd help a lot.
Right. So there's two types. So I hear the TikTok people talking about, you get credit without using your credit score. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Generally, a small business, that's not going to be happening if it's cash. But if you get your Paydex score over an 80, that's where you have trade lines and you can get like Dell computer lines and Staples credit cards. Home
So let's
Depot.
let's. I want to dissect this for a moment because a lot of people don't even know what a paydex score. What is that?
So Dun and Bradstreet is a business credit reporting agency,
Mm-hmm.
and they issue something called a Paydex score. A Paydex score of 80 to 100 means that you pay on time. So let's say, for instance, you have a vendor and they give you a net 30 term and you pay your bill. They invoice you on this day and you pay net, 30 days later. If you don't pay past 30, then you'll have an 80 Paydex score. If you pay before 30 days, so if you pay 15 days after you got invoiced, then your Paydex score goes above 80. So above 80 means you pay ahead of time, ahead of the due date of the bill. Um, Lower than 80 means that you pay after the due date of the bill. So, you would deal with, I mean, I've had people ask me, because I sometimes you have payment arrangements at my company, and they paid their bill on time. I do extend credit for my services, and then sometimes they've had DMB ask me to report um their payment history on Dun and Bradstreet, which helped them get an 80 Paydex score. So with Dun and Bradstreet, you can actually, go to the businesses that you do business with that do
Mm-hmm.
extend you credit, and you can ask them to report. You could actually pay Dun and Bradstreet to ask those businesses to report your credit history, and you can build your Paydex score that way. Now, what does a Paydex score allow you to buy? Well, some companies allow you to get like a Dell. Dell goes on your business. They don't ask for your social security number. They ask for your tax ID number, and they'll pull your DUN number. And if you need computers for your business, that's a good place to start with some business credit. Now, if you don't pay Dell on time, then you're going to have a bad Paydex score. So, there's things like a Quill, Uline, you can get those things and they will report. Now, my Paydex score also allowed me to furnish my office. So I didn't have to buy one chair here and one chair there. I could get all of my furniture matching and in my space at one time, and I didn't have to use my personal credit score for that. So that is that type of credit. But it's not cash that I can't, go to Dell and say, give me 50,000, let me put it in my bank account and pay my employee. I can only get a line from Dell to get computers. I can
Hmm.
only get a line from Staples to buy Staples, service Quill, buy paper and things like that,
Hmm.
which you do need for your business if you're running, but you're not just buying paper just because you want to buy paper. Some
Hmm.
people just get those lines just so they can have them. No, you want to buy paper to print. We print business plans. So obviously I need paper, so you want to only get things that you need because, those things are things you need. Office furniture, I needed office furniture. People can come in my office and do business with me. I need those things, but those things are not going to be what most entrepreneurs are talking about. Most
Hmm.
entrepreneurs want cash in their account so that they can hire and hire employees, get that first assistant that they really need. I highly suggest that when you go in business, I highly suggest that you start with an assistant.
Hmm.
You're probably going to be a little broke the first couple of months, but you'll have that habit of already always having an employee. That's actually how I started. I started in business. I still worked at the bank, but I had an employee working for me while I was at my other job. So yeah, I was paying money out of my pocket, to get it off up and running, but it gave me that muscle of I am an employer, and I've always had that muscle, so that's something that I would suggest. But now you want that money to get marketing, okay? Because if you don't have marketing, if you don't know how to market, you need to invest in marketing so that you can get more clients. That's another thing.
So,
um okay.
let me touch something right quick though. Take people along the journey though. Someone starts a business today and says, "Look, I've heard I need to get a solid Paydex score,
Mhm.
right? And yeah, I'm going to invest in my business, and I'm going to do all these different things. I'm going to get these trade lines, right? So it starts with getting these trade lines, but there are other things that impact your Paydex score as well. And then for those business owners that hear some of these tales, and not say that some of the tales aren't true, but how are people getting there, right? When you hear about these business owners that just started out, and let's say 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years down the line, now they have six figures of available credit available to them. What does that process really look like?
So it looks like you start your business. The way that I did it was I did ask some of my vendors to report. So
Mm-hmm.
you can actually ask DMB to report. So that's how I got my Paydex score originally too. That over an 80 Paydex score. I was
Mm-hmm.
already doing business with different vendors, and then they reported it. Then I, at that point, just started getting other lines like Dell computer lines. I had a Home Depot, a Lowe's. I had gas cards. I usually try to help my landscapers get the gas cards because they need the gas cards. Anybody else, I don't think you need a fleet gas card, but those landscaping and snow removal companies, those things come in handy because what happens is you will have to do a lot of times when you have commercial contracts, you have to do a whole month worth of work, then invoice for it. Your drivers are still out there using gas every day, and gas is expensive. You don't want to come out of your pocket with that. So you want to get those gas cards so that when you get paid, you can pay it back. But though that process of building it, I would say the easiest way is just pay DMB. A lot of times people like,
Mhm.
you can actually just pay them like $600 or so, and then ask your existing business relationships to report, and you can get your 80 paydex score, going. Now, the other question was the cash lines. It's a little bit different. Cash lines, they're going to pull your personal credit score. So, what we usually do is we go to micro lenders or CDFIs because you only have to have a 575 credit score and meet some other criteria. The loans are issued in the name of your business, so then you are building that muscle. So banks are saying, hey, this person did pay us back. And a lot of my clients will start out with a lower dollar amount, pay that off, and then the same lender will just double or triple what they had if they continue to need additional cash revenue. And those things, I'm not revenue, cash lines of credit to get things like payroll paid, get things like marketing, upgrading your website, getting some SEO done, those things that are going to help you obtain more clients. But you do have to start working on your credit. 575, we got clients that don't have a 575. There are other types of financing that you can get if they have certain levels of revenue. But if you don't have any revenue or you have low revenue and you have that score, we can get startup funding as well if we go to certain CDFIs or micro lenders. But you need to be working on your credit and your revenues during that process while you have it so that you can graduate to the traditional lenders and get, we could buy buildings at that point. A lot of times people think that's hard. It's not hard to buy a business. It's not hard to acquire property. You just have to know what is necessary. So what's necessary to buy? We're doing like three $2 million projects right now, and they're at the end of the process. So basically, what do you need? Well, you need a 680 credit score. You need a down payment of 15 to 25%. Now, this is generally where we have a barrier because you cannot get around the down payment. You cannot borrow the down payment. So that's why you want to create revenues first before you buy a business or you buy a building, because you're going to have that down payment. But we can fund everything. Let's say you need $2 million. The building costs, 500,000, and the rest is furniture, fixtures, and equipment, and building it out, having architectural, putting something together and making it look beautiful, building, putting your dream business together. All you have to have is a 680 credit score and 10 to 25% down. That's it. And you can be able to get whatever you
So,
need
so I'm glad you mentioned that because
in a business
what's
plan. Sorry.
yeah, it's two things that I'm thinking about when I'm listening to you. So I'm hearing about individuals out here who are utilizing, whether it's true or false, they're utilizing business credit to clean up their personal credit.
You can do that.
Yep.
I've done that. A lot of times, a lot of entrepreneurs will use their personal credit first, credit cards and things like that. I always say don't do that though.
Right.
If you have enough, if you have good enough credit to have personal credit cards, you have good enough credit to get business credit cards. And then when you get a business credit card, just put the business stuff on your business credit card. Some of them don't report to your personal credit. They'll check your personal credit, but when you max it out, it doesn't harm your personal credit. So then, but if you've done that, you can get that business credit card. You've built your credit up, you've built your business revenue up enough to get a large enough business credit card. Then you would transfer the debt from the personal, because it is business debt. Like you, if you use your personal credit card to buy business things, number one, it shouldn't be on the personal side anyway. You need to
Mm-hmm.
transfer that balance from the personal credit card to the business credit card, and then it does kind of instantly clean up your credit, because now it's not reporting on your personal credit, it's
Right.
on the business side. And so now you can keep that personal credit nice with the low, then I would just put everything on the business credit cards, have low debt to income ratio, loan to value ratios on the
Mm-hmm.
personal credit, and just have everything on the business side. That's definitely what you should do, in my opinion.
Man, we are covering so much ground. It's like three other questions I want to ask. Because I don't think a lot of people understand the importance of loan to value and, and your debt to income ratio, particularly new business owners. If you could kind of elaborate a little bit, like why is that important? How does that impact your ability to scale your business? What is it and why is it important?
So you have to be able to service your debt. So a banker is going to go over, debt service coverage ratio.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to see. So if you're a startup, they have to look at how much money you're bringing in from your job.
Mm-hmm.
That has to be able to cover all of your personal bills, all everything on your personal side, if you're a startup, obviously, and the dollar amount you need to pay per month on your new business loan that you got, even if you don't have any revenues, because you don't have any revenues. So the only thing that can pay the money is your outside income at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if now once you have business credit, or you start making revenues, you get business credit cards. When you max those out, they're not they're not harming your personal credit score. So every time you use your credit, let's say you got $1,000 credit limit, but you're at 1,000, your personal score is down, even though you're not late on the bill. You're at 100% loan, you're at 100%. You owe 100% of what is available. So that makes your credit score, your personal credit score, decrease.
Right.
It's going to be decreased. But if you have that debt, that same $1,000 on a business credit card, and that $1,000 is no longer on your personal side, then your score immediately increases. So
Now,
go ahead.
but here's the thing: is because I want to make sure business owners listen understand this. It's not like you start up a business and let's say your personal credit is damaged, you can immediately go get a business credit card. That ain't gonna happen,
Right, right.
right?
Because you have to
There's
have
some
good credit.
there's some things you have to do first
Right.
on the personal and on the business side to build up your paydex and then do that. So I want to
Right.
that's how I
Go
want
ahead.
to
Sorry.
clarify. Yeah. So you mentioned something earlier. Once again, this is like all the rave right now. Well, I shouldn't say that. I should say it's becoming more popular. And that's the ideal of going out and actually buying businesses. So as
Mm,
opposed to, because look, starting with business, man, being a founder, you're
yeah.
working 18, 20 hours sometimes to avoid working a job,
Right.
right?
Right.
Um, and that man, that transition from a team of me to a team of we, we were just talking about this when we started
Yeah.
this recording, right? That that's the thing right there. That's the hurdle, right? You can
Mm-hmm.
get over the if you can build a solid team and put those processes in place, and your business can really grow. But until you get that process done, so even I'm attracted by the idea of saying, why would I see a business or come up with an ideal and then try to start from scratch, knowing that all it's going to entail, no matter how talented, effective, how much of a leader I am, there's still some like heavy lift you got to do in the beginning. Why not buy a business?
Right. Right.
And you said something that caught my attention. I just want to make sure I heard it correctly. So individuals who are looking to get into this idea of buying a business, right? 680 credit score, they got to be prepared for 10 to 15% down.
Yes.
Well, 10 to 20% down. So I'd be curious to know, number one, what are some of the creative ways that you've heard of where people, or you know of, that people can get that 10 to 20%? And then secondly, you also hear this concept out here called seller financing to acquire a business.
Okay, so that's going to be different than getting, traditional lending. So
Mm,
seller financing is a way of financing a business startup. Um, I actually, prefer going through the bank and just buying, not
mm.
doing seller financing. Um, so let
Why?
me,
I want to hear it. Why?
well, so for me, if the bank is going to put guardrails, they're gonna say this
Mm,
business is not worth this. We're only going to lend you this. If you're going seller financing, you're trusting that, that's what
mhm.
it's worth.
Right.
Uh, so I actually prefer having a third party go in, do the valuation and telling me, because they're smarter than me. I might give you my money because it looks good. Let me give you an example. I had a client, he wanted to buy a car wash.
Mhm,
He has good credit. Yeah, he had the down payment. He found one that he wanted to purchase.
mhm,
Guy said, "Hey, this is what I want for it." He was showing, he had him come in, and it was really, he had a nice customer base. It was a detailing business, high-end customer base. And then, if he had the cash, he would have just paid the guy what he was asking. But because we had to go the finance route, we had to get tax returns. We had to get those things in, and we found out that
mm,
he was negative $10,000 a month
mm,
the way he was running it, with the employees he had. And now if you get it, you can see what is happening. But here's the thing, the lender is not going to lend you any money to buy that business. They're going to lend you money on if it's cash flowing, right? And the reason you buy a business is so that you can have the cash flow. You don't want
right.
to buy a business that you have to turn around, because then you could just start your own business and from scratch. And you know what I'm saying? And
Mhm,
not be $10,000 negative per month. So the reason you buy a business is so that you can buy the cash flow stream that is already there. Not created. It needs to already be there. And so when
mhm,
I go with that's why I prefer just going, having my people go through the lender, because the lender's not going to care that you liked how the inside of the building looked.
mhm.
They're not going to care that the high-end clients had Maseratis coming in. You know what I'm saying? That's not what they care about. They care
Right.
about, is this going to bring you the cash flow that you need? And that's actually the reason you're not purchasing the business because they have a really high-end client list, unless that's what you want for something else.
But
But
you're paying
you have to have your cash for that. The lender's
what
not going to give you any money for that.
what I'm hearing loud and clear is it's not wise to buy a business because of vanity metrics. Okay, the
Yes.
bottom line is the business better be earning income.
Right, pretty
So
much.
so man, this might, I don't know, this, so I'm listening to business owners out here in the field. And I don't defecate people's cornflakes, right? I'll just kind of sit back and listen. But I firmly believe there are businesses we should be looking to buy, and then there are businesses you should not be starting right now.
Hmm.
I look, I'm being so real, right? I know like it's really big right now. Follow your passion and find a way to monetize the thing that you love, and you can make it. But I'm like, man, if there's like six hair salons on the same block, and you put a seventh one on the block, I mean, yeah, you may earn some money, but you're not going to scale
Hmm.
with six of them on the same block. You know what I mean? And I'm
Hmm.
not knocking hair salons because I think there are spaces and markets where they can do very well. But right now, what are some of the businesses where someone says, "I want to start this business"? You kind of look at them sideways, like, "You sure you want to do this?" Like, what are some of the businesses where you're like, let me help you out right quick?
Right, right. Well, I'm always skeptical of people that say they want to just get into real estate investing.
Mm,
You want to get into real estate investing after you have cash. You don't want, it's going to be hard for you to get funding to say, I want money. You're new to real estate investing. Lenders
mm-hmm,
are not going to give you any money. They have plenty of people that are not new to it that can definitely, help them turn a profit quickly, that have
mm-hmm,
proven that they can do it. And that's the ones they want to lend to. They really don't want to lend to the startup fledgling one. And so that's
right.
a hard one to start. Like, let's start something that if you really want to own property, let's start a business that needs a property,
Mm-hmm,
you know, and then
mm-hmm.
do that like a home health care.
There it is.
The
Yeah.
revenue is not from flipping the property, but you
Mm-hmm.
do need not home health care, but where you have the person
Assisted
inside
living
of that.
or yeah,
Yeah,
stuff like
assisted
that.
living. Yeah, so you have to buy the property to run the business. So then, incidentally, you do own the property. So if that's something that you really want, you want to start investing in real estate, invest in real estate where there's another stream of income that is paying off that asset. And then, maybe you close the business down or you just open more and now you have all these, assets. You have property. So I
Right.
would probably do that, instead of
Mm-hmm.
saying, let me go and try to flip. That's a hard one to start when you don't have any money yet.
Right.
Um, Other ones, restaurants are hard. Restaurants are hard, but
Mm-hmm.
that being said, restaurants do get funded, so I have several restaurants um,
Interesting.
that I fund, so they get funded, but it's a hard one to start. The margins are real thin, so you can make
Mm-hmm.
money, but you're working a lot, so you have to actually know what you want. Do you want to be working in that restaurant a lot? When somebody calls off, the cook calls off, you're the cook. I have a friend, I have one of my
Mm-hmm.
clients, they bought some Subway franchises. Not to say Subway franchises aren't great, but she doesn't like it because when somebody calls off, she's making the sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
So when you buy a franchise, you won't want to make the sandwiches. You want the revenue stream. But that's what you have to do. If you have a restaurant and somebody calls off, you're not going to close the doors. You're going to go there and you're going to make the sandwiches yourself. So you have to decide what you want to do. And it has to have revenue. It has to have a revenue stream attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, restaurants have thin margins too. So you might not be making what you really need to live that beautiful life. So that's why I
Well,
say you got to start there first.
what would you start in this market? What businesses are doing well right now? If you were to start from scratch right now, everything you know,
Hmm.
what are a couple of businesses you look into and say, no, I'm gonna do that. I'll make that happen.
Car washes, car washes, just our cash cows. Those are
Mm-hmm.
those are cash cows because you really don't have to do a lot. You don't have a lot of people there. If you have the best equipment, people are paying you 20, $30, every 5 minutes. That's
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you really don't have to have a lot of staff there either. So that, if you're looking for a cash cow, and what you said, Mr. Buford, was something important. Yeah, all this about your passion, that's like, I don't know. No, we need cash money in our bank account. We could do passion once the cash is in our bank account. Passion, we could go traveling. I want to be, with my grandbabies. I want cash.
Mm-hmm.
Now I happen to do something that I really love. You know, but it took a long time for me to build the revenue and figure out how to consistently create that revenue. It wasn't easy, to do that. And we have to have an excellent product, you know, and you got to have excellent people on your staff too. You can't have, this type of person, I've got, when you're in business, You got somebody answering phones that don't answer phones. Why? Why?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
so you have that problem. But um car washes, the other one, franchises that you don't have to operate. I go to European Wax. It's a franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Man, your appointments are booked 15 minutes at a time, and they are booked. If you're 5 minutes late, you lost your spot because the next person is there. And those 15-minute sessions that I book, I'm spending, I have a membership, but 15 minutes is like 150, $200
Mm.
per 15 minutes.
Wow, I did not know they were generating that kind of revenue.
Yeah, and if you're late, they say you can't book anymore on the app. if you have
Wow.
two, if you have two lates in a 6 month period, I hit that one time. I made it one time when I forgot I had an appointment, and so they were like, you missed your appointment. So if you do another missed appointment or late appointment within a 6 month period, you can no longer book on the app. You have to walk in and see if it's a availability, and it's never going to be in an availability.
Man, that is brilliant. That is brilliant. I can think of so many businesses where they adopted that model. Oh my goodness.
Right. Just
Because what they're selling is the convenience. You're losing the convenience,
hmm
and people will pay extra for convenience.
right. Or
Okay.
you be on time for your meeting and make sure you don't miss it.
Yeah. So how about, so I'm just throw a couple businesses out there. Laundromats.
Oh, laundromats are good too. We're doing one right now. It's a large project, about $1.8 million. We're doing one right now. It's now, with that being said, the startups on those you're gonna be in the millions. You're gonna be, one, two
Yeah.
million dollars. So
Probably better off is if you
say that
can't
again.
find anyone and buying it, right?
Say that I didn't hear you.
Finding one with a tired owner and acquiring it from them.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's if you're starting one from scratch, you have to buy all the machines.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, there's a lot of work, of building that out. So the projects that we've worked on is actual build out. So QT specializes in building out an initial business. We do
Right.
some business acquisition, but most of our clients, we're starting from scratch. We're helping them build out their first space.
Okay.
A few of my clients that we do
Yeah.
that with.
Tire shops.
Eh, tire shops, we haven't had a lot of tire shops. But I would say it might have a thin margin. I haven't done any tire
Yeah.
shops, but
How,
it might be a thin margin. And you got the big boys that you're competing against.
how about mechanic shops?
Mechanics make money. Mechanics make money, but the problem is with that, you are self-employed if you're the mechanic.
Right. So you got
So
to give the mechanic golden handcuffs so you don't have to become.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's going to be an issue not an issue, but you have to go into that business knowing that you're not going to be the mechanic. You
Would you
have to
start?
go.
Would you start up a barbershop?
Barbershops are great. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you have clients, you have I mean, if you price it right, they're always busy. You
Mm-hmm.
have a nice high-end barbershop. If you're pricing it right, you got your clientele and that's what 15, 20 minute, 30-minute max, and you're making, $100, per 15 minutes, or
Mm-hmm.
$60 per 15 minutes. That's like that European wax shop, because you have a bunch of people. Now here's the rub with that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make sure that you have barbers that, and I have my barbershops earn, they are paying commission.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 60% of the commission, when I do salons, I do 60 to the salon and 40 to the stylist. A lot of times, you could there's turnover. Your barbers might go to a booth renting thing like that. Your barbers might not come in, and then you're the one doing the barbering. So you have to be able to manage that, where you're not the one that is always in the shop doing the barber shop, doing the
Yeah.
work. But if you
Um,
can do it, if you have good people on your team and you charge a good amount, that, every 60 minutes, every 30 minutes, you're getting another $60, $100. That's some good money right there.
Hardware store.
Well, I got a couple of hardware stores, very lucrative hardware stores. We got some in Detroit, and
Hmm?
yeah, but on
You know,
Dexter.
you know what I noticed? Because I threw out some of these type of business on purpose. The businesses that a lot of us avoid because they're not glamorous are the most profitable ones.
Yeah, hardware store. Who wants to just sell? Like, that's no passion in that,
Yeah.
but it's you're getting massive people in per hour. Each
Mm-hmm.
person in there might spend, let's say you got 10 people, let's say you got 10 people in the hardware store, and 10 people buy $50 worth of stuff in that 1 hour. You really only have like two staff members in the store. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
have to pay for the space, you have to pay for the inventory, but that's a lot of money. You want, it's like the McDonald's model.
Mm-hmm.
They only charging like $10, $15, but it's 15 cars in the drive-through at the
Mm-hmm.
same time. You know what I'm saying? So that $15 times 15 per 10 minutes is what
Mm-hmm.
it's going to cost, though. That's what causes the revenue. So we have to think about massive selling to a mass crowd all at the same time. And
So,
that's what I'm working on myself.
okay. So when we started this conversation, I talked about how I've been driving 6 mile, 7 mile, Finkel, Puritan, Gratiot, Van Dyke, Moraine. Like, because of the pandemic, I spent a lot of my time chilling, like behind the Zoom screen. And I decided I was going to go a little bit old school to start 2025. There's a project that I'm working on. So I was like, I'm about to get after it. So you're gonna be getting a lot of referrals. Many respect.
Thank you.
So man, I'm seeing a lot of boarded up buildings.
Mm.
Because some of these neighborhoods, like I remember before the pandemic, like 6 Mile, Grand River, North Rosedale area,
Oh, yeah.
them businesses weren't boarded up like that.
No, they weren't.
Like I'm driving down some of these blocks, they like Joey Road. I'm like, what in the world's going on?
Right.
Um, if you had a Christmas list, right, in terms of solving some of these business owners' problems, and we talked a little bit about this at the top, right? But what are some of the things aside from the framework and the mindset, which I just humbly believe is 90% of it, right? But let's get off framework and mindset and get down to, like, technically speaking, where are these business owners dropping the ball? Why are they coming up short like that? What are the biggest mistakes they're making?
Well, like I said, we have to know the mindset first. Have to know what we need. After we know what we need to get the money, right? So we either have to sell more products, or we get a loan, and then we have to spend money to do marketing,
Mm-hmm,
upgrade our marketing,
mm-hmm,
upgrade, attracting people to our shop. The other thing is putting those processes and procedures in place for your new employees.
Mm,
So hiring the correct team, the right team, the excellent team. That's where I'm at.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Hiring excellence, not I can't I have, in the past I've had good people on my team, but now I have to have excellent people on my team. And
mm-hmm,
that's where we're kind of like people are washing out. And the other thing, measuring the metrics.
mm.
I started using this KPI dashboard. And
Which one to use?
so I have Gecko board and SST.
Gecko
Uh,
board. Okay.
right. And then I make sure I know exactly what each position has to do. And then I measure it. And if you don't do the minimum, the minimum is meets expectations. You have to do
Mm-hmm.
more than the minimum for me to grade you outstanding. And I'm only going to keep the outstanding people on my team.
Oh, I like it. So they're basically going into that. I mean, I've participated in programs like that before, so I know what you're talking about. But for those who are not accustomed to it, these are basically dashboards that your team is going into. They have to post their KPIs.
Hmm. Some of them are automatically, generated into the.
Mm,
So based on like phone calls, I can see how many phone calls.
mm-hmm.
So if your job is to make phone calls, did you make the minimum amount of phone calls that are necessary?
Yep.
If your job is to close sales, did you actually close sales this week?
Mm-hmm.
Before I was just like, hey, did you close sales? Did you close sales? And then I'm waking up at the end of the month, no sales got closed. you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's not how you do it. I'm doing weekly, and they measure themselves daily.
Mm-hmm.
So did you make daily revenue? And if you didn't, what do you need to do tomorrow to make up for the day that you didn't create that revenue? And just I'm getting down into the weeds now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
now that it's about, we have a really great product. People love our service. In the past we had great service, well, a great result, but not good customer service. So I
Mm-hmm.
had people on my team that weren't like the best. They were great technicians, but talking to the client, it was dry, that sort of thing. Now, hey, if your result is you need money, we're going to get the result, because we won't accept a client that we don't believe we're going to be able to get that result. All they got to do is follow our rules, follow our follow what we're saying, go to our lenders. We pretty much can tell
Mm-hmm.
who's not going to get it, or who is. And for the most part, that's everybody.
Yeah.
um but not knowing where you are in the process, I had to create different positions. I created a client success manager position. So that person now, okay, yeah, you got the result, but in the meantime, you've paid a lot of money. So you don't know, like, okay, because sometimes in our community, when we pay our money, we're like, we want to see something right now, which, yeah, but at the same time, sometimes it's not. You don't get it right away.
Not everything
It's
happens
a
in
process.
2 days.
Right. It's a
Right.
process. So, and we're not going to call you every day, but that client success manager is calling you every week. This is what's happening now. This is what's happening now. That sort of thing. Now we're getting into the weeds. So the result, you start with the result. If you, even if you have the worst customer service, if you have the result, people still gonna buy your product. They're gonna buy your product. Like, you can
Mm-hmm.
be the worst. You could. It was so. I'm just gonna tell you something really embarrassing. I had the worst assistant on earth. I'm sorry. People were calling and saying that they never got called back, and that's embarrassing. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you have somebody on your team? Your whole job is to answer and respond to phone calls, and then I'm going to meetings, like I go to like a networking meeting, and I'm like, yeah, we'll call you, and then I give it to my assistant to put on the books, put him in the system. I go back to another networking meeting like a month later, and they're like, yeah, I called, but nobody called me back. But that person still did business with us because we have a reputation of getting results. So that is not a good thing. It's not a good thing to go to a networking event and 2 months later you go to the same networking event and they're like, we really still want your services and then you didn't call them. That's crazy. But you see what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, I know what you're
We got a
talking about.
you got
Uh-huh.
a good result. Your
Mhm.
product's so good that people will wait.
Yep.
And they'd just take whatever. They'd just be like, whatever. They ain't call me. I come to them. And so that is bad and good at the same time because our reputation is we get results. But then our reputation was starting to be, hey, you got to wait in line. You're going to be waiting and get in contact with them for a long time, which I didn't know because obviously I hire people to actually do that instead of
Mhm.
me doing that. And so that's where I'm saying you got to get in the weeds. You have to check to see if your employees are doing what's right and be excellent. Um,
Mhm.
and so that's where we're starting. Now we got the great product. So if you're an entrepreneur, you want to start with the result. If you sell something, do what you said you were gonna do. Whatever. If it's good tires, don't sell ball tires. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, don't do it. Just sell like you sell the best tires for the cheapest price or whatever. Whatever what makes you different in the market, do get the result. But then once you start consistently being able to get the result, now you can go and start working on the other things like the customer
Mhm.
service and stuff because you're not going to have it all at one time. And I say, black people, come on. If the person, we got to do business with each other, but just do what you say. Don't just take people money and don't do what you say. Like, I've had so many people come to me, and they've paid a bunch of people for business plan because yes, we're not the cheapest in the bunch. We're not. It is what it is. But I'm gonna say we are the best. Like, we get
Mhm.
the results. So then
Mhm.
what happens is you went to all the other ones. You still don't have any money yet. Now you're coming to me. Oh well, I didn't get any money from that. You probably should have started with us. You thought our price was a little bit too high. Then you went and spent some money somewhere else. Now you're gonna spend exactly the same amount or
But
more.
well, you're out there doing a lot of what I do, which is fix a lot of $5 haircuts. Fixing $5 haircuts. You know, I'm gonna say this. I know I've had you here for a moment. And I don't want to push my luck with that, but I'm thinking about the conversation we had in the beginning about mindset and framework. I'm thinking about people's having to fix $5 haircut because people don't want to, right? And then um, a theme that's come up repeatedly is the idea we have to do business with each other. And I'll tell you that what I've been thinking a lot about is the topic of esteem. Like, I was listening to a podcast. I think it was Myron Golden. I think it was him. He was interviewing someone. And one of the entrepreneurs on there said something that really caught my attention. And they said, look, you need to build your business with the mindset that you need to generate enough revenues. You need to be so successful that you can become the employer. Like, too many business owners are just, and you hit this earlier, like they build the business just enough to pay for the limited lifestyle that they're enjoying. But they never imagine the business growing beyond that. They never imagine themselves. And look, some people don't want that. It's all good. Like, some people don't want the responsibility. Um, Building a business of scale where you're taking on employees, business processes, structuring, then you got to start participating in politics because, look, sometimes you got to be able to pick up the phone and you have adversaries out here in the field who want to take you under. You better have some people you can pick up the phone and chat with, right? All that stuff gets involved. But for those who are willing, I don't think people realize that it's out there, it's available to them. And for me, it was interesting because I wouldn't say I got out of that mindset, but sometimes when you're around people who are too small in their thinking,
Mm,
that will shrink your thinking too.
yes.
Right. And for me, that was a wake up call. I was like, man, why am I dealing with these business owners one on one when I used to hunt and work with corporations? Right.
Right.
Why am I giving presentations in front of one, two, three, five people when I remember I started my entrepreneur career giving presentations in front of 30, 50, and 100 people? Right. Because in the beginning, my mindset was, man, I'm going to build it big. Like, I'm going to become like one of the top employers. I'm going to be taking care of families. I'm going to earn millions of dollars, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you start getting around that small thinking and people who don't have esteem, right? Because you have esteem, you show up differently,
Mm,
right? Like, we have all the confidence in the world. You take the average entrepreneur in Detroit, period. I'm a firm believer. You can make it in Detroit, you can make it anywhere. I know what they say in New York, but I'm talking about here. Detroit's a different ecosystem, okay?
right.
I firmly believe you drop in Detroit or anywhere in the world, we're gonna crush it. But in any
Hmm.
respect, we have all the confidence in the world, right? You take the average entrepreneur, particularly African American entrepreneur, and put them in a room and ask them how do you feel about yourself on a scale of 1 through 10. I can do this, I can do that. They'll self promote all day, every day.
Hmm.
But esteem is different, right? It really does show up in how you show up, not just for yourself, but for other people,
Mm,
right? So I have a lot of Arab clients. I have a lot of Nigerian clients. I have a lot of Senegalese clients. I have a lot of clients who are second and third generation. And I tell people all the time, my Arab clients talk about each other like dogs. If I were to record the conversations I've had with them and listen to them talking about their cousin right down the street, or talking about their uncle, or talking about this person, or dogging this person, but at the end of the day, you know where that money stays? And that's an esteem thing,
hmm.
right? They know they don't have the skills, they don't have the wherewithal or the knowledge, they can't navigate the way we navigate,
Right.
but because they have such esteem, and they're going to spend money with each other, they're going to level up, they invest in each other
Yes.
all day, every day,
Yes.
right?
Hmm.
I really just firmly believe it is an esteem. So I can talk about we need available credit, we need yeah, we need marketing. God knows, I think 90% of the entrepreneurs in Detroit, they don't have the slightest idea how to use AI. They don't have the slightest idea.
Yeah, we need to get better.
Yeah,
I'm using it myself now. I love it.
yeah.
So,
And I believe those are like systemic technical issues that are necessary. But I don't think anything's going to change so people actually believe they can achieve
hmm.
together,
Hmm.
and that they have like a higher opinion of what can be accomplished as an entrepreneur. So I mean, I come across some of the entrepreneurs like, y'all fighting over crumbs, and there's a whole cake sitting on the table.
Ugh.
Like, y'all are fighting over, you're competing for recognition.
And
You're
why do
competing
we have
over
to
vanity
compete?
metrics when
Why do
you
we have
should
to
be competing over the
compete?
cake.
Let's get together
Yeah.
and dominate. We don't have to, that's another thing that I've seen, as you start getting more successful in your
Mm.
business. It's so crazy. You see people and you're the nicest person, you love people, you want to help people. What you see, it gets political and it's like, okay, dude, what is your problem?
People be fighting for proximity to power.
What is your problem? And then
Yeah.
why are you trying to tear another business down? Let's just build each other up.
Mm-hmm. Because there's more than enough out there.
Right.
If it wasn't more than enough, we wouldn't have all these people flying in and relocating
Right.
from all these other places to our ecosystem, and then they just hit the ground crushing it.
And they hit the ground crushing because they have each person in their community is supporting rather than, no, you shouldn't have what you already have. You
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't have that respect. Let me say something about you. You shouldn't have that.
Ooh. Man, stories I could tell. I can't do it now. But when some more stuff comes out in the wash, yeah, I mean that's a huge problem. It's like there are entrepreneurs and people that I genuinely do not like. I don't like them, but they're successful.
Mm,
Um, but I'm not going to tear them down because I
no.
respect entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Regardless whether I like you or agree with you, I know how hard you worked to get there.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a price that you had to pay. Like, there's no overnight success stories. You just hear about people overnight. But,
Yes.
unless you were born on third base, I don't have any wealthy rich uncles funding anything I do. So I don't know nothing about that. But if you were not born on third base, trust me, if you find an entrepreneur that was not born on third base, they grinded.
Mm-hmm.
They paid a price that you will never know about. They had they had some quiet nights, some
Mm-hmm.
quiet weeks. They had some real desperate moments.
Right.
Um, and so I respect that. So even if I do, quote unquote, if we don't vibrate, let's put it that way. Even if I don't vibrate with someone, I'm still going to find a way to somehow make a win-win. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
certainly not going to tear you down.
Never. Never. I'm never gonna tear somebody else down. Never.
Yeah.
We're just gonna, like I said, I do a lot of fixing $5 haircuts. Some people do come to me
Mm-hmm.
with what they've already had. And they'll be like, hey, do this is what I had. And I would say, oh, this is great. That's why I don't review. That's another thing. I don't review other people's business plans. Not going to review it. I'm not going to make my opinion on somebody else's business plan
Mm-hmm.
because that's not what you're paying me for. You're paying me to create a business plan that's going to get you some business funding. And I may or may not use your current business plan. I might use some of the content in your business plan, but I will always start from scratch, period.
Mm-hmm.
I don't review business plans and then take them to Lindy. That's just, because, yeah, I see a lot of the same business, same one. And I'm like, yep, I'm not going to comment one way or the other because,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they out there doing their thing. At least you got something. Some people don't have nothing. So at least you have something written on paper. So that's my take on that. I'm never gonna, tear anybody else down.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to have this conversation. Yeah, I know you keep a hectic schedules like I do, so I'm not going to hold you any longer. I just, I appreciate the fact you're willing to set aside this time. But man, there are like 4 or 5 different things I got top of mind that I could ask you about. Especially, man, that the area that I personally want to take aim at. It's like 3 verticals I'm gonna invest a little more time in 2025 to kind of expand on what I'm already doing. But the one thing that I know there's resources out there about, I don't know, maybe people just aren't aware enough of them,
Mm,
or I mean, you could always have more, right? But that space between when you're a team of me
mm,
and you're ready to scale, but you're dealing with the stress of, okay, I'm generating enough revenue, but not enough to hire someone who isn't
mm.
going to be productive, right? For another 2, 3 months. And so
Right.
meanwhile, I'm at a deficit, right? So I know there's business credit that's available. I know there's a lot of different resources that are out there, but I firmly believe, aside from that whole framework and mindset piece, right, which is just first and foremost paramount, that's the next hurdle, right? Because not everybody has family. It's going to, not everybody has a best friend is willing to come in and work for free. You got to be able to,
And I wouldn't hire family. That's that's the other thing. Because I need you to do exactly what I want you to do, and I
yeah,
need you to do it excellently. I don't want you to put me on the back burner because I'm your sister or brother.
yeah,
So I that's another thing. I'd rather hire a stranger. I love my family, but unless you know
mm-hmm.
that person, sometimes it is easier to just hire a stranger and have because also it might be hard to measure. You have to measure the metrics, and it might be hard to tell your friend that you didn't do it right,
Yeah.
or so I rather just say, hey, nope, these are the metrics, get them done,
Mhm. Well, look, I appreciate you as always. Look, let the audience know. I wanted to have this conversation with you, but you already know I firmly believe that a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. So I want more people to know about what it is you do. I think your work is invaluable. I think your impact is incredible. You're an incredible person, so more people need to know. So let people know, how can they get in contact with you? How can they reach you?
Oh, yeah, they can go to qtbizsolutions.com. That's QTBIZ solutions with an S.com. Or just give us a call at 248-416-1755.
Phenomenal. But thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Yeah, we got to do it again. All right, so I'm going to go ahead.